Yo, Wobble here. I'm going to give you another video about how to do stuff in Ableton that's cool. Everybody who has given me feedback so far, it's been nothing but love and beautiful things, whether it's in the form of comments or subscribes or, tweets or Instagram, whatever. It's all been good, so I'm just going to keep chugging along. I think this is a great way to supplement what I already do making music, is to show other people how to make their own, make it better, all that kind of stuff. Here's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be making a drum rack like this, which basically will allow you, I'll show you real quick, like if I open up my kicks pad, I have a ton of samples just on this one pad, just on this kicks pad, right? And these each have a lot in here, right? I'm going to teach you how to make this. It really beats using the search bar, and it's a good way to consolidate a collection of samples into one tool that you can use really quickly. Like as you can see, if I just go to my kick here, let me get it on the keyboard here so I can play this beast for you a little bit, make some sound. Wrong octave. There we go. Okay. As you can see, I have all these kick samples loaded in, and then I have a selector knob that I just spin to pick my different sample. I have that for my snares and my hi-hats. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to build this. Show you what prompted it, and then also maybe in this video I'll do a little bit, but then definitely in another video I'm just gonna go in and make some stuff with this. So before we get to that, let's just talk about the tool, where it comes from, all that. So what prompted this? My friend Nothing New just put out a sample pack through Signal Flow. It's really good. I recommend you grab it yourself. It's everything you would want a drum sample pack to be. It's got 150 drum samples. I guess he ran it through the analog heat distortion box, so it's all pretty juicy already. You don't really have to do a ton. Maybe just some basic EQ compression to get it to fit in what you're doing. So great sample pack, highly recommend. And it's from a friend of mine, so he's a good guy. You'll be helping somebody out, supporting a really legit music maker, in my opinion. But anyway, so I got this. I downloaded all of them, and then I was like, 150 drum samples. How am I going to organize this in a way that's actually useful and doesn't require me to come up here and have to search for some bullshit or have to scroll through them? I want to be able to work quickly. I do not like to download samples and have them just sit on my computer, right? So here's how the process you use to build this, right? If I'm going to go from scratch, right? So I got a new MIDI track, put that over here. Right? The first thing you do is you make a drum rack, right? Oh, by the way, I'm going to show you two ways to do this because we're going to be working around some plugin limitations, right? This is going to be the first way that you can do this, right? So anyway, you have your drum rack, and you're going to go to Instruments. If you have the Sampler plugin, you're going to drag it into one of your drum pads. If you don't have this plugin, I'll show you the other way in a second, right? But first way, stay on track here, right? So then what you're going to do is you open up, let me go to my samples folder, or hard drive rather. Alright, here we go. So this is the drum pack, right? This is what you get when you download it. It's got a big old folder of kicks, snares, hi-hats, claps, and all this other stuff, right? So what I would do first is you take all of these kicks, right? Let's say if we're going to make this pad for our kicks, and you drag them into the drop zone, right? Open this up, right? Now we have all these samples here, and we have a couple different things we could mess with and modify. So we don't want to mess with the key menu. We don't want to mess with the velocity menu. That's a topic for another video. You do want to mess with the select video, right? What this is, right, is basically a sample selection menu, right? And you have a sample selector up here, right? This is a little blue thing. It looks like it doesn't do anything. It does do something. It's your sample selector, right? We have a zone set for each sample, right? So as it stands right now, if we play this thing, right, it's gonna just play back all of these because every sample is stretched across the whole zone, right? So check this out. We hit distribute ranges equally. Now each sample has its own little zone, and if we put the selector over that, we get that sample. Why am I not hearing a change? Problem solving. So it was playing this, not this. We need to do this. Now it'll work. Watch. So you hear how. Why does this all sound so similar? Do I have the other thing selected? Why am I getting stuff out of this? Oh, that's why. I had this duplicate. I'm sorry, guys. That was a faux pas on my part. Now, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. Whew. I thought I was going crazy. Right. Good to see, though. It's creativity. It's messy. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so now, check this. Now it'll work. I was only hearing it partially. All right. Now it's working, right? So when you're doing this, don't be a dummy like me and have other things enabled. It won't work. All right, good. That's working. So that's the first thing you're going to do, right? So now what you're going to do, we can rename this to something that makes sense. We're going to call this kicks, right? Now, right, what you're going to do, take this selector. If we right-click on this, you can map it to macro 1 on your drum rack. Now it's mapped to this. So we have a little knob we can turn to select what sample we want to use. So I would rename this to kick select. Okay, cool, right? So then what you're going to go and do is you're going to go back in your folder and you're going to repeat this process for every class of drums that you want to map on this thing, right? So let's do the snares next. Right? So again, we're going to drag. Oh, wait, no, we don't do that. We have to make the sampler first. My bad. Screwing up all day today. All right, no, I'm not. This is going to be great. All right, so same thing. We have our snares. We're going to select all of them, distribute ranges equally, map our selector to a different macro. We're going to call this snare select. This should work right away. Snares, right? All right, that's working beautifully. I love it. Now, say you're looking at this and you're saying, well, Mr. Wobble, this is all well and good, but I don't have the sampler plugin, and I know you're big and fancy, but I'm not big and fancy like you. Well, I was just working with a student, and she's on Lite, which I believe is the free version of Live that comes with like controllers and stuff, and it's a little bit more limited, right? So she only has the Simpler plugin, right? Well, you can totally do this, but it's just a different pathway. So I'm going to show you how that works now, right? If you're on Simpler, right, the process in the beginning is similar. You make a drum rack. It goes totally from scratch so you can see every step, right? Then say you only have the Simpler. Drag that in, right? Hurry up, computer. Come on. Don't give me this spinny wheel. No, oh, okay. I was waiting for a hard drive to kick on. All right, anyway. So now Simpler has a couple different modes, right? Put this thing on slice, right? Now, next to this, you're going to need to make a new audio track. Let's flip into this view for a second, into the arrangement view. Now for our kicks, we're going to need to combine these into one big sample, even though they're already cut, right? So we take these kicks, drag them into the timeline, right? Now we have them all in one track. Now we're going to hit Command J to consolidate, right? Or you could fish around in the menu, hit consolidate. Either way, Command J, it's faster, right? So now you have this all in one big audio file, right? Drag this audio file we just made into Simpler, right? So now we should get some sound. Make sure I don't make the same mistake as last time, right? We're only hearing this track now. Go back to this view. Okay, good. All right. So now our problem is this pad is sending a C1 MIDI note over here, which is going to map to this note, right? So how do we get this like scrolling thing to happen so we could hit all of these, be able to access all these samples and scroll through them? Well, we're going to do it through a different pathway. You're going to get the pitch plugin in the MIDI effects menu, put that in before, right? Now check this out. By transposing the pitch that this pad is sending, now we can scroll around. This is the behavior we want. The only problem is this pitch menu, or this pitch plugin, has a really big range. So if we're in the middle, it's cool, right? But it's really easy to go out of range. Like if we go all the way out here, right? Then that's sending to a note that isn't on this set of slices we made, right? So here's the workaround for that. Because eventually we want to map this to a macro, so we just have a knob we can map to a controller and spin around and not really think about going out of range. We just want to play, right? Have fun. So let's reset that. Right. So we need to figure out the limits of how far this goes with this set of kicks. Right. So let's go step by step. +1 gets me to this sample. +2 gets me to the last one. +3 is nothing. Right. So we got to remember that. +2 on this side. Let's go the other way. -17. -18, we're still there. Let's keep going until it runs out. So -24. If we go to 25, nothing. So -24 on one side, +2 on the other side. Okay, let's keep that in mind. We're going to map this to macro 1 again, right? And then we're going to hit map in the rack so stuff turns green. And in this menu, in the mapping menu, we can limit the range of stuff. So we're going to limit this side of it to +2. Because after that we don't have any sounds, and this was -24, I think. Was that correct? Right. So now turn that off. Now, yeah, that worked. Okay, 24. Right. So now you see when I turn this macro, I could flip it around all over the place, but this pitch knob is only moving like a certain amount. It's only moving a little bit within that range that we restricted over here. Right. So. Again, and then after this, it's basically the same. You're just going to rename this. We're going to say kick. All right. Then we're going to call this kicks. No. Kick select. Right. And then you're there. You're in the same place. No sampler plugin required. So there you go. There are 2 ways to load up as many samples, basically, as your heart desires into one drum rack that you're going to be able to use in all your productions. Right. Now, I'll show you what I did personally. I didn't strictly put everything that came in that sample pack in the drum rack, and I'll show you why. If I go into this favorites folder I just made, and let's drag in a couple of these onto some new tracks, right? So I made one kit called Crispy Core, right? Then another one called Crispy FX, right? And then another one called what do I call this? Like Perk Toms, right? This is the reason that I did things this way, right? The Crispy Core kit sounds like a Ben & Jerry's flavor. This is going to be my kicks, snares, hi-hats, shakers, tambourines, claps, and then I just made one for fun called Big Drum. Alright, whatever. It's a big drum. Sounds like a big drum. I like it. Anyway, the reason I put these together is that's usually kind of the core of my beats, right? Is like some kind of kick snare stuff, and usually when I get to the mixing stage, I'm gonna process these pretty differently, right? Like I'll usually be hitting a compressor a lot harder with these. You know, with this kit, there's already distortion on it, but if I were to add more, I'm gonna put my distortion here so it really hits as hard as it can. If I'm doing any transient shaping, it's usually going to be on these elements. Whereas the effects one, right? If we play around with this, I'm going to usually mix this really differently, right? Let me get in the right octave. So yeah, all these kinds of effects, they're more color. So I'm not going to be hitting these quite as hard, right? Also, some of these are pitched, so I built in a little transpose knob, right? Just so I can pitch up or down any of these samples to get them into the key of what I'm doing. This was a little work. Here, I did not do the selector trick. I just put them all on their own pad so I could plug in a keyboard, bang around until I find some sounds I like, and then that's cool. And then, this is a little annoying, but I had to go into each one of these, right-click on the transpose, and map it to that macro. I do that for each one. Ooh, no. Do that for each one of these, right? But so whatever, not that many, it wasn't that big of a thing, but so that's why I did it this way, and it was kind of the same logic with the percussion. In this particular pack, there was a lot of like miscellaneous percussion, and there was maybe like, let me see if I can find an example. Oh, let's switch it over. There's some toms in here. Oh yeah, okay, here's an example, right? So we have these 3 toms. Boop, boop, boop. Those 3 go together. It makes sense to keep them in some kind of a group. But there's only 3 of them, right? So I didn't really see the point. And because there's only 3 of them, and I might very well use all 3 of them in a beat, I didn't really see the point in mapping them to like a whole selector and taking up a drum pad, right? Again, it's much easier to just start with the beginning of this core kit, do my kicks and snares and hi-hats, get that straight, and then I could just dub in all this stuff over the top of it, right? Makes a lot. Again, this stuff I'm going to be mixing it a little differently than my kicks and snares, so thinking a step ahead to where I'm going to go with it, it makes sense to separate this out. So this is how I broke it up. Then in here, I'm not quite done. I'm going to take some of the pitched kicks. Oh, yeah, yikes. Yeah, okay, play the beat by accident. But yeah, some of these are like pitched kicks. I'm going to make these actually into like keyboard instruments for like my 808 kind of sounds if I want to drop these in. So I think with this kit it makes sense to break them up, but you know, that's what I'm doing to go like a step beyond what I just showed you. So no, just to wrap things up, I'll probably save the beat making and the glitching out of for another video in a minute. But yeah, for now, this is the way I would do this. It's just a lot easier to have it all in one kit rather than to scroll through banks of samples and have to manually drag them over. Unless you want to go the other way and make a lot of individual kits and put different effects. That's cool too. This is just one way to do it. So anyway, hopefully helpful. Hopefully makes your life a little more organized and helps you get more out of this sample pack or some of the other ones that I'm sure you have on your computer. Any sample packs you get in the future, all that good stuff. So you know what to do. End of the video, like, subscribe, comment, Real Hot Wobble. If you look that up, that'll get you to my website and all my social media and all that stuff. All right, be well.